Sometimes being pretty matters when you're a video game, and Max, the Curse of Brotherhood demonstrates that point perfectly. Hi everybody, it's Senior Editor Kevin Van Ord standing in for reviewer Jason Venter to tell you about Max, the Curse of Brotherhood. Basic running and jumping sequences are supplemented by interesting puzzles and an unsurprising slew of collectibles, but none of it ever comes together in a way that makes a truly favorable impression until you stop to admire the gorgeous visuals. Somehow, everything that's good and everything that's disappointing about the game starts to feel a little bit better. You are Max, an irritable boy who comes home to his annoying younger brother, Felix. Vexed by the lad's rambunctious, obnoxious behavior, you read aloud the words of a spell designed to make such nuisances disappear.
I wish your tracers could be gone from all places.
Those words take almost immediate effect. Your sibling disappears through a void, and you jump in after him as regret over your irresponsible actions takes hold. Just like that, you've embarked on a journey across a treacherous wilderness. Your destination is the Wizard Mustachio's castle, and your only weapon is a magic marker that allows you to manipulate your environment. Max himself can crawl, run, walk, jump, and drag things, but that's the extent of his moves. He'd never get far without his precious writing utensil, which you must use liberally. Pressing and holding the right trigger suspends direct control of Max and brings up a holographic image of the tool, which interacts with colorful pieces of the architecture at your direction. For instance, a dark green node can extend to form a ledge, which you can then use as a foothold. An orange node betrays the presence of a stone column. Each interactive piece of nature has variable limits, signified by a steadily draining supply of ink. You must figure out how to make the most out of each resource. As the game progresses, the marker gains additional abilities, and the solutions to puzzles gradually require multiple steps. In later scenes, it sometimes feels like you're playing a scribble simulator rather than a platformer. Levels typically consist of a series of open spaces wherein you must chain together a few environmental effects and then hop along a few more ledges or run along an unremarkable corridor to reach the next such challenge. The difficulty lies in figuring out what you're supposed to accomplish in those more interactive areas. It's a pleasure to descend along a series of ledges protruding from the face of a roaring waterfall, admiring the lush foliage and figuring out how to reach the far side of each hazard. Checkpoint placement is typically generous, so that even a fall to your doom means short-lived frustration at the worst. However, you'll come across numerous other situations that prove frustrating because they require quicker reflexes and more precise movement than the game's controls readily facilitate. The worst such moments are chase sequences, which usually find Max fleeing from a giant troll or sliding along a series of crumbling ruins. If Max suddenly needs you to produce a ledge lest he tumble into an abyss, the marker often materializes in a location that's less than ideal for the task at hand. The moments when you're forced to play through a particular scene several times because you didn't anticipate a surprise shift in the landscape are always unwelcome. Even when you know exactly what to do, you may come across instances where you'll have to make several attempts before Max jumps quite far enough and grabs a vine that only just barely has a chance of reaching him. There's some creativity on display for the campaign's full 5 to 7 hours, but mostly you'll perform the same few road activities with only slight variations. Aside from the aggravating chase scenes, a scavenger hunt for collectibles is the only detour. Max, the Curse of Brotherhood is enormously attractive, and the puzzles are initially quite satisfying before wearing out their welcome. You should consider taking the plunge if you're looking for another pretty platformer. Otherwise, you're probably better off waiting for a different curse to come along.